Hi, I'm Madeline Tynan from Tynan Motor Group, and I am here today with Scott Fava, and he is our coach at Southern Districts, first grade. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming up. We want to just go through our relationship with Tynan Motors and Southern Districts and just where the team is going this year, and look at our coach and get some information about him so that we all get to know him as a person. Tell us, how did you end up in rugby? I know you obviously have played at the highest level. You played for Australia. Where did your career start?
It would have been, my father loved rugby league, so he put me into league early. I was about 4. And then from there just continued to play rugby league until, and it was funny, it was a little situation where we tried to get this really good rugby union player in our area to come across the league, and he was a mate from school, and then eventually he got me to rugby union.
Okay.
Flip the script.
So did you play both sports at the same time? Because I know one of my kids played league and rugby union, because rugby union was on a Sunday for a while, Saturday, Sundays as you got older.
Yeah, 100%. So that was what I was able to do. So I played both for about 3 years, and then bounced between both until I was 17, and then started concentrating on rugby union at 17.
And then when you went through rugby, just run us through quickly where you've played and who you've played for.
So at the time, I went to Kiama, went through the country system, made Illawarra, New South Wales country, and then got an opportunity to make the New South Wales and Australian teams. And I was in Kiama at that point in time, and the coach said, look, you need to be playing first grade shoot shield if you want to be considered for the Australian 21s position. So my first choice was then Southern Districts, because I was still living in Kiama, so I was travelling from Kiama to Southern Districts in 97, and that was my first year in shoot shield, and yeah, really loved it and just continued on from there. I did move clubs, but you know, you try and find your pathway as a player, and you go forward with that. And Eastwood was really good in terms of that ability to play a higher performance.
And they've always
rugby.
been really strong too.
Indeed.
No? Yeah.
And then that we won a premiership in 1999, and that propelled me into Super Rugby, and I got signed by the Queensland Reds. And then
So you went up with the Reds. How long were you with them?
I was 2 years at the Queensland Reds, and then I signed with the Brumbies. Eddie Jones got me down to the Brumbies in 2001, and spent 4 years down there, and then I was part of the inaugural Western Force team in 2006.
Okay.
With your
my
son-in-law, Tim Davidson.
Right. So, there you go.
So
and then he went on down to Melbourne in their inaugural team.
Yep.
You know. So when you've done that, did you study with the rugby, playing rugby as you went along?
Yeah. So I was doing an electrical engineering degree at Wollongong Uni. That's why I was still staying down in the Illawarra during my time at the Shoot Shield. But just the demands of professional rugby, it was very difficult to stay on top of the detail I needed to do in terms of that degree. So I changed over to ACU in North Sydney and did a human movement science degree.
Okay.
And I think that really helped with the rugby career and learn about anatomy, nutrition, psychology.
Tommy Carter did too, didn't he?
Yeah. And so he's worked in now that S&C field, which gives him that opportunity to coach the Australian women's girls team and now the New South Wales Waratahs. So for me, it was really good during my career just to have that that study, as well as making sure that I was playing to the best of my ability, and I finished that degree in 12 years. So, but I did it, and I got it ticked off, and then that really enabled me to move into my next field, was running F45 studios. So, so I ran those for 10 years, and I think having that degree behind me was really beneficial.
Well, I think too that the training that you get from rugby, whether it's shoot shield or right through. I mean, look at what you're putting back in now to Southern Districts. What do you think your main aim is now to teach those young men and to make sure that they're not only good rugby players, but they're good people?
Well, that is the balance, and that's why I think coming into Southern Districts, I didn't need to change the culture, and we speak to Jake Douglas, he knows, and we know that the culture down there is really good, but it's the balance. It's the balance between high performance and making sure that we are training the athletes at that higher level to give them the opportunity to go on that pathway as I did and live the dream.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's, For me, that's my personal ethos. I want to see as many of my players live the dream as possible.
Yeah.
Whether it's the women's group or the men's group, if I can give them an opportunity through high performance training into the things that we're doing in the back end to make sure that we've got connections in with coaches and they're just being seen. Rather than focus so much on, okay, yes, we want to win a premiership. There's no doubt about that.
Well, that brings in money and brings in people too, doesn't it, if
That's
you win
right.
a premiership, right?
100%. So we've got to work on both, and that's the balance. We've got to have teams that are winning, but we also got to have players on that pathway to success because they will bring their experiences back to this team. And at the moment, we don't have that.
Right.
We're concentrating on the young kids doing the job.
Right.
And hopefully the likes of Blake Shop and Bailey Kunzel that are playing
Right.
in the competition at the moment in Super Rugby, they come back and they give that opportunity for those guys to go, oh,
I can follow him, I can do that following down there. Do you think the feeling around the actual club at the moment is a vibe that is a winning vibe?
Not at the moment, and that's the difficulty. I'd like to say yes, but we aren't winning, so that's the reality of the situation. There is no doubt the effort and intent from all the players is there to win and to become part of this winning environment. But what we have to change is 5 years of not doing that from a club's viewpoint, and just changing mindset and habits takes some time.
So that's a cultural shift, do you think, to be a winning team? Is that your aim?
Yes.
That's what it is?
Yeah, very much so. It's understanding those moments where we become resolute about how we do things on field, the little moments, the 1%ers.
And why they're wearing that Southern Districts jersey, right? Who they're representing, because they're not just representing themselves, they're representing a club and a history, a long history, and they have to understand that, and that's your... Who have you got around you to help you with the coaching?
Well, it was good. Like George Gargalakis was the Colts coach when I came on board last year, who had success and had a bit of winning mentality. They didn't make finals, but they won 10 out of the 18 games during that 2024 year. Whereas the first grade team won 2 games. Right. So that momentum enabled us to bring someone up that was building that winning mentality, had a lot of Colts players that were involved in that group, and then so with that it was an easy choice to bring him into our group. I've secured a forwards coach from Taranaki who is part of that group. That Hamish Mitchell, he went 16 games in a row with his club team.
Oh, right.
And he was also able to make the finals with his Taranaki B team, so within that professional environment.
So in your opinion, what values are completely non-negotiable that the playing squad should have?
Well, we're looking at the 3 values that we look at is being relentless, and we're working on being relentless in terms of their preparation on and off the field, and then taking some of those attributes on field and being relentless with our outcomes with that. Elite is our next value, and part of that is, once again, how do we balance up the high performance with having fun at a club?
Yeah, that's right.
So being elite means that when we're on, and you need to understand the opportunities that we need to be on as a high performing athlete, do everything you can to be that.
And the player you think out of your team at the moment that is coming to a peak that you should be watching his career or her career?
We're managing. Yeah, there's a few athletes that we see on the precipice of that. We have one in terms of Isaac Ratumavai Tavuki Neepkins, who was part of the Western Force group over the last 2 years and never got his opportunity to debut or play games with that Super Rugby team. At the moment, he is electric out there, and we're seeing, like, if a team wants an athlete that's very physical, fast, has all the attributes, then we see, and he's our captain and he's leading by example. He could slot into a Super Rugby team now, but I don't know whether, like, at 26, like, these guys are a little bit now too removed from an age viewpoint. You know what I mean? I don't think so.
If they've kept their body good, who do you think there has been the biggest improvement from pre-season to now?
Yeah, there's been a few guys that we just didn't expect that have come through the system. There's a guy called Zane Gator who he's come from the country, and that's a big thing that we wanted to address within Southern Districts. We were buying too many players from England and New Zealand and trying to mould in this melting pot of guys that just wanted to be here for a year and then disappear and go somewhere else.
Yeah, so there's no future.
100%.
Yeah, right.
So back when I was playing for Southers in '97, and like Jake and a lot of other players, these country players are the heart and soul. You know, Georgia, they're tough. They're tough. You know what you're going to get in terms of loyalty. So Zane came from Evans Head with Mason Duke and Harry Hall, and there's a whole group of them that have all come down. And Zane had a really disrupted year last year. Didn't really find his feet in terms of position. He was moving around a fair bit. We didn't know where he was going to slot into this pre-season, and then all of a sudden he just broke out as a winger.
Wow.
His first game was awesome, and to see that was, it gives you goosebumps. You just like sit there and go, wow, this is what
great.
It's
good to watch. That's why I say Shoot Shield is just amazing to watch. It's so fast, it's so physical, it's so passionate, that it's great to watch. So you've got to get down to Southern Districts and see it. Another question I want to ask you, what separates a good rugby team to an elite rugby team, like a great rugby team?
It is very much the cohesion of the group.
Right.
If we can get that cohesion up to a standard of the top teams, and that means it can be either through colts that go into grade and stay with each other, and they just know each other because they're all mates, and that has happened, and that's the precipice for champion teams. There's actually a mate of mine that does the analytics on it. His company's Gainline Analytics, and those great teams doesn't matter what sport, more than likely their successes come from cohesion. Those players within the group that they know each other. So my big method in terms of this year was making sure that we kept at least 80% of our squad together.
Right.
I was able to get it to 65, but considering I inherited only 30% the year before, I think we're going in the right direction in terms of that cohesion. To answer your question, I think that is from a very good rugby team to that elite rugby team is making sure you have the same players doing the same thing with the same momentum year upon year.
Yeah, and building on it.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
And bringing those juniors too, just keeping them in the system and making them have that love for rugby is pretty good.
Indeed.
You've had a couple of tough losses, so how do you make your players resilient to those losses and step forward to be a winner?
Yeah, it's a big question. There's we worked on this week to factor in our worst loss was something that we didn't need to dwell on.
Right.
And that was last week against Warringah, and they're the champions. We played away at their home ground. We were in the contest up until the 60th minute, and then one of our players was yellow carded and we're down to 14, and then they took the opportunity.
And they took it, right.
But what we
was that discipline?
There's a bit of discipline that we need to work within the team. We've been pretty good, but we need to be excellent.
Yeah, right. That's what really creates that difference, doesn't it? Yeah.
So I feel this week I spoke to my coaches and said, look, delve into the stats, have a look at the things that we're doing really well, promote that, and have one or two points that you need to, in terms of work-ons. We are the best team in the competition for offloads and our run meters.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So when you look at that from an attack viewpoint, and we're coming first, yet we're coming 10th in the competition.
Right.
So
You've got to just switch that
build
around.
On that. Yes.
Right.
And from a defence viewpoint, our ability to get off the line very fast and get in the face of the opposition is first in the competition. So for us, it's been, okay, boys, positive. We're doing this really well. Right. So with that, we just need to get these couple of elements up. Our line-out's not that great at the moment. Come on, let's go. Let's get that percentage right. A couple of other areas. And then once we get that right, I think a complete performance will happen.
In the coaching scene, you obviously all know each other. Is there anyone that you've played in that is a coach at the moment, or that you've played with or against, or? Well,
you look at Josh Holmes from Warringah. I played with him at Eastwood for the Wallabies.
Right, so he's the one to watch at the moment. I hear that team is extremely good.
Benny Batcher's at Eastwood, East, sorry. He and I played at Eastwood and won premierships together at Eastwood.
Okay. So you all know how you play and probably how you coach.
Well, that's it. Johnny Manetti's at uni, and we coached together at Eastwood.
Yep. Very good family friend spouse.
Yep. So and he's there. Darren Coleman. He was my coach back in the day.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, it's all like all these coaches are all back into Shoot Shield, which is great because the competition has just risen because we've got so many quality coaches in the competition that allows the guys to then, like, good coaching means great product.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what we were saying before, you know, really good coaching and that community spirit and just being told you can win. You know, we do have it. We just have to turn it around and make it a winning culture, I think, which is great.